Yes.
Tal Kadosh, Boker or Chodesh Tov, Masechet Gittin Daf Samechet Amud Aleph 6581. We were just speaking about that any single time that they made an institution called the Takun Rabbanan, many times came Doraita Tikun, which means they made it like a Doraita. And therefore, from the fact that a Katan could be Mizaket to other people for Shitufei Mevot, it's Muchach that he could be Mizaket to Acherim, Bedin Torah also. So Ve'idach, this is where we're starting from, Ve'idach, on the top of Samechet, Ve'idach, and the other Amoda, which is Rav Chinana, that he said he kept quiet and he didn't answer anything. When do we say that anytime that you're going to institute something to Rabbanan, it's Ken Doraita? Only something which has a shoresh mina Torah. It's got roots in the Torah. But if it does not have anything in the Torah, meaning like Shitufei Mevot, which means that it does not have an ikar in the Torah, we do not say this general rule. Ikar mina Torah means is that usually sometimes you have that its roots are in the Torah, but the rabbis were the ones that instituted it. But if it's just something that later on came and the rabbis instituted that doesn't have a real root in the Torah, so therefore what happens is that be'emet, it's not the same halacha. That's what, so he says, for example, the takana that they did to do with maaser. Midin Torah, you're obligated to take off a maaser only from certain types of fruits. Rabbis come and they say, no, also from other things. For example, vegetables, this, it has ikar min Torah. Because you do have to take off maaser from certain fruits. The rabbis added other fruits. So that's a takana that has ikaro min ha-Torah. Okay? However, though, he comes and he says, but the entire concept of hotza'ah ve'achnasa on Shabbat from a house to a chatzer is only in the Rabbanan. So takana of Shitufei Mevot is on a Rabbanan. It's not on a Doraita. It's on a Rabbanan. You understand? So because of that, it's completely different.
So is it true for the things that didn't?
So Mativ Rav Avia comes and he asks the following question. Ma'animin al Maaser Sheni. You could do Ha'arama on Pidyon Perot of Maaser Sheni, and you could become patur from adding the fifth. Meaning you remember that Maaser Sheni is in years
1, 2, 4, 5.
Chazak Uruch, 1, 2, 4, 5, right? And you give an additional 10%, because the first 10% is Maaser Rishon, which goes to the Levim. Very good, the Levi. So the Maaser Sheni, right, you eat it in Jerusalem, right, Yerushalayim. So what happens is that if you're going to redeem those fruits, instead of actually taking those fruits to Yerushalayim, you have to add a fifth. Okay, you have to add a fifth to it. So says the Gemara, this is actually a Mishnah, that you could do Ha'arama on Maaser Sheni. You remember Ha'arama is like a trick on Maaser Sheni, that you will be exempt from adding the fifth. Keitzar, what's the case? Omer Adam livno bito hagdolim. You could tell your son and daughter the gdolim. Or le'avdov shivchato ha'ivrim, or your eved and shivcha, that they're Jewish, right? Eved ivri or ama ivriya. Ha lachem ma'ot halalu. This is your money. Uftu bahem maaser sheni zeh, and come and redeem this maaser sheni, which means that they're going to acquire the money. So since the maaser sheni does not belong to them, they could redeem it for its value without adding a fifth. Meaning, when you redeem your Maaser Sheni, you have to add a fifth. But if it's their Maaser Sheni, right? Sorry, it's not theirs. It's not their Maaser Sheni, meaning it doesn't belong to them. So then you could redeem it for the same value, for the market value. You don't have to add an extra fifth. So here, from the fact that he gave them the money, and they're going to be redeeming the Maaser Sheni for him, so therefore he doesn't have to add an extra fifth. You understand? He just got out of the problem, right? He got out of the problem. So he says, one second, the same question that we asked yesterday. Hi shivcha chidami. What's the case of the shivcha? If you're going to tell me that the shivcha already has 2 pubic hairs, my bayagabe, what's she doing by him? But she's already a gdola. She should be freed, right? Elalav. So obviously she doesn't have 2 se'arot, right? So therefore, if you're talking about she doesn't have 2 se'arot, she's a ktana. And still the Mishnah says that she could redeem the Maaser Sheni for her master. So therefore she could be mizaket to other people. And all like Rav Chasta. Answers the Gemara. Hacha ma'eskina, what are we dealing with? The Maaser bizman hazeh midrabanan. No, we're talking about Maaser nowadays. And Maaser nowadays, right, Maaser Sheni does not have the same Kedusha of Doraita. There's no Yerushalayim built, right? There's no Bet HaMikdash. There's none of these things. So therefore, it's only midrabanan. So since it's the Rabbanan, that's why a katan could come and they could redeem and be mizaket to other people because it's only the Rabbanan. So says the Gemara, okay, you're talking about Bizman Hazeh, V'ama Ivriya Bizman Hazeh Ika. Is there going to be Bizman Hazeh? Is there going to be Ma'ivriya nowadays? Yeah, is there such a thing as an Ma'ivriya? Yeah, Vatanya, we learned in a Braita, En Evet Ivri Noheg, Ela Bizman Shayovel Noheg. Right? Which means Eved Ivri only Noheg, Bizman Yovel. Now nowadays there's no Yovel, there's no so therefore there's no Eved Ivri, there's nothing. There's no Eved Ivri, there's no Ivriya, there's nothing. So therefore, what's going on over here? Ella, but rather answers the Gemara. Really, we're talking about an atzit sheno nakuf, and therefore it's only the Rabbanan, which means we're not talking about nowadays. We're talking about the olden days. But it's an atzit sheno nakuf. An atzit sheno nakuf. Remember, an atzit is like a planter, right? A planter. They say no. They call it a
plant.
No, it's not a plant. It's the recipient of the plant. We call it planter. So I was right. Planter, right? So I was right. I thought it was right. Planter. So this planter, right? The planter, right? There's a difference whether it's got a hole or it doesn't have a hole. Okay, so an atzitz, right, that has a hole, where is it getting its nourishment? From the ground. So since it gets its nourishment from the ground, it's 100% the ground, right? Because it gets its nourishment from the ground. If it's an atzitz she'eno nakuf, which means it does not get it doesn't have a hole, so it doesn't get its nourishment from the ground. So if it doesn't get its nourishment from the ground, there's no doraita. It's not doraita chayav ma'aser because it's not connected to the ground. Anything which is connected to the ground, you're chayav ma'aser. If it's not connected to the ground, it's not chayav ma'aser. So he says it's only chayav ma'aser midrabanan. So since it's only chayav ma'aser midrabanan, even if we were talking about during the time of the Bet HaMikdash, and therefore what? Therefore it is chayav ma'aser and everything, mina Torah and everything that you want. But here it's a din rabbanan. So for this Ma'ivriya that she's a ktana, right? She's a ktana, she's a minor. She's able to be mizaket to other people because it's only the rabbanan. Okay, fine. So now we're going to speak about the entire concept of, right, the Rava to do with 3 different steps in children. So he says, Amar Rava. Rava says, Shalosh nidot bekatan. There are 3 different levels to do with the da'at of a katan. Okay, 3 different levels. What exactly is going to be the 3 different levels? So he comes and he says like this. He says the 3 different levels is, right? 1, he comes and he says, Sror v'zorko, ve'egoz ve'notlo, right? Zoche le'atzmo, ve'en zoche le'achidim, u'kenegdan b'ktana, right? Mikadeshet le'miyun. What does that mean? Since we're talking about now, if a person comes and he finds a tzror, right? So he sees, right? He comes, right? If you listen 1 minute, you listen. Yeah, if a person finds a rock, yeah, so now the child, if he understands that it's a rock, which means it has no intrinsic value, so what happens? He throws it away. But if he finds yeah, he comes, if he's going to find an egoz, and he's going to take it because it's food, so he understands. So therefore, in that age of a tinok, he's zoche le'atzmo, ve'en zoche la'acherim. He's zoche to himself, but he cannot be mezaket to other people. Ukenegdan b'ktana, and the exact same halacha would apply to a ktana, mitkadeshet, right? What does that mean? She's going to be able to do kiddushin to obligate her, right, for miyun, which means midin Torah, there's no kiddushin nisuin for a ktana unless it's done through the father. Okay, but he's the one that's zakai in it. But if there's no father, and therefore she's going to get married, she can't get married until she's gdola. The rabbis came and they instituted that a ktana, the mother, the brother could get her married. Okay, but she could do miyun. So he said as long as she's not a gdola, she could uproot it completely, right? Because it's only the rabbanan, even without a get. How? By doing miyun. So she comes in front of 3 dayanim. She doesn't want to stay with her husband. However, though, if she doesn't get to this age that she knows how to be shomer al kiddushea, she cannot get married at all. So if right now, if the father or the mother, another father, sorry, the brother or the mother comes and they get the Kesef Kiddushin, she doesn't even need miyun, right? If she has to get, she could do Kiddushin to somebody else, right? Rava is teaching that a Ketana that understands this, I mean, he understands the difference between the Tzror and the Egos, she's already in the Dargah of a Dat, that she knows how to keep things in her possession, and therefore, right, what happens is that whether it's going to be the mother or the brother getting her married off, so it's going to help Shelot Tetzeh Mishut Bala without miyun. She needs miyun. Okay, fine. Next, okay, second shita, pautot. What is the ona of the pautot exactly? He says the pautot is whether it's going to be from 6 years old to 8 years old, right, or whatever the case is, right? He comes and he says, right, as follows. He says right now the onata pautot. If you remember, there are 3 different shitot, not pautot, whether it's 6 or 7, 7 or 8, right, or 9 and 10. Okay, fine, but that's the concept, right? Mikhan mekach or mimkarem mekach memkar bemetalteli. So he says once they get to this age, right, whether it's 6 to 8 or whichever one it is, so then what happens is that whatever they sell is a good sale, whatever they purchase is a good purchase, but that's only to do with metalteli, not on the land, only on movable objects. Okay, and now he says, right, uchtegdan b'ktana, and when we're talking about also, right, when we're talking about also by ktana, right, mitgareshet b'kiddushe avia. So therefore, what happens is that she's going to be mitgareshet with the kiddushin of her father, which means she could actually accept the kiddushin. Yeah, so imagine here we're talking about pilutot. So you have a girl that she's an 8-year-old. She receives a get. The father comes and got her married. She's able to receive a get. Third, one second. Third, right? How do you call this? Third stage. Higia leonata nedarim. She got to the onav nedarim, which is basically 1 year before bar or bat mitzvah. Okay, that's called the samuch. Right? We said it's samuch leish or samuch leisha. It's muflag leish or leisha, which means that it's 1 year. It's 11 or 12. 12 for a boy, 11 for a girl. Nidrehen neder. If they made a neder, it's a good neder. Hekdeshen hekdesh. Whatever they made hekdesh is hekdesh. Ukenegdan b'ktana choletzet. She could even do chalitza. Okay? And Rava says, V'limkor b'nichsei aviv ad sheyeh ben 20. However, though, to do the koach of a yatom, to start selling in the properties of his father, he's going to be considered a katan until the age of 20. Okay? Imagine a ketana comes and she tells a man, receive the get for me. Eno get, it's not going to be a get. Until the get gets to her hand. Why? Because if you remember, we said that she cannot come and appoint a shaliach. And therefore, if the husband wants to retract, he could always retract. Shein katan or shaliach was a katan cannot make a shaliach. If the father says, go and receive for my daughter a get, he cannot retract. Why? But since the father of the girl is appointing the shliach kabbalah, the second that it gets to the hands of the shliach kabbalah, gamarnu, right? Nigmara kiddushin. Haomer ten get zelishti b'makom ploni. If a person comes and he says, give this get to my wife in this certain place, and he gave it to another place, it's going to be pasul. Why? If the guy comes and he says, I want you to give it in this place, it's this place. What are you doing now that it's going to go somewhere? No, that's it. Okay, fine. Says the Gemara. Yeah, he says the Mishnah, it's going to become pasul. Where does it say kasher? No, that's something else. That's something else.
She's in such a place.
Right? That's a different case.
Tell me again.
One more time.
Yeah.
10 get zeli ishti b'makom ploni. Give this get to my wife in this place, and he gave it in another place. Pasul. Harehi b'makom ploni. But if he just tells the shliach, listen, the wife is in a certain place, and he gave her another place, it's going to be kasher. Why? Because he didn't say give the get in Miami. He just said the wife is in Miami, and that's it. And then he went and he gave it to her in Boca, or I don't know what, because it was a different place. But that's still kasher. Why? Because he wasn't makpid that it had to be done in Miami. He just gave her a manemakom. He gave her a place where on the map, how do you call the thing? The location, the GPS, where she's located. right? Locate her, but he didn't give him the instructions that had to be in a certain place. A woman that says, what happens if the woman says, accept my get in this place? The same name. The guy received it in another place. Pasul. Right? Here in this case, Rabbi Elazar says it's going to be kasher. Right? We have to understand why. Why did it say in this case kasher all of a sudden? But she says, bring my get from this place. And it's going to be kasher. That's for sure it's going to be kasher. But she was just telling him, go bring my get from this place. Not that accept my get in this place. There's going to be a difference. Says the Gemara. The Gemara says, Rabbi Elazar, according to Shtat Rabbi Elazar, why is it that in the Reisha, he didn't argue? There was no Rabbi Elazar Machshid. In the Reisha, it was Lechule Alma. He went and he said, give this get to his wife in this place. If you get in another place, Pasul. Nobody argued. Why all of a sudden now in the Seifa, when she says, accept my get in this certain place, and she accepted, and the guy accepted in another place, Rabbi Elazar says it's kosher. Why is it that he only argues in the Seifa and not in the Reisha? So answers the Gemara, megaresh kapid. Remember, who is the one that does the divorcing? The man. Can a man divorce against the woman's will?
Yes.
Yes. Nowadays, there's a Cherem Rabbeinu Gershom, right, that says no, and that's what the Ramah is follows. Lechatchila, maybe even the Sfaradim follow that, but technically speaking, mitzad Sfaradim, mitzad Shulchan Aruch, right? You're allowed to divorce a woman against her will. So therefore, right? Even if she doesn't want, you give her the get, right, and that's it. 1 minute. Okay. So he comes and he says like this. There's the Gemara. Since divorce depends on him. Are you listening? The divorce depends on him, not on her. So kapi, he's makpid. Why? He's the one that gives the get. Her that she gets divorced against her will. It's just a mare makom. What does it mean, mare makom? You're just telling her the destination, the GPS. She's not makpida on something because she doesn't get divorced willingly. It's even against her will. Remember, kiddushin is willingly. A person cannot marry a woman against her will. Kiddushin needs that. Gerushin does not need that. Okay? Next Mishnah. Samechei Amud Aleph on the bottom. Haveli giti. If an Eshet Kohen comes and tells her husband, give me my get, ochele b'truma, she's allowed to eat truma, she'yagia get yada. Until the get gets to her hands. Hitkabeli giti, but she says, accept my get, asura lechol b'truma miyad. She's allowed to eat truma immediately. Right? Because basically the second the shliach left the house, maybe he already got the get. If she says get the get in a certain place, Eliezer says immediately it's going to be a sur to eat truma. Says the Gemara.
She's not a Kohen.
She's the wife of a Kohen.
She's not a Kohen like from before.
No. Okay. So it says Gita miyahave. Right? It says the Gemara. 1 second, but it should be a good get. What does that mean? Once a shliach comes to a certain place after receiving the get is chal, and she becomes divorced. The Amar Reisha, you just said in the Reisha, lo avigita. You just said that it wasn't a get. Meaning, what's going on over here? The previous Mishnah said that if the shliach received the get in a not the same place, it's not a get. Here you're saying that it is a get. So says what are we talking about? The Amra that she says kabeli gita b'mata mechasya, right? Go get the get in mata mechasya. Vezina the mishkach la lei beBavel. And sometimes you're going to find it in Bavel. So she went and she told him, Mishkal, take the get wherever you find it. Shaklamine, take it. Which means that basically she told him in 2 different places. So she wasn't makpida, right? Exactly. So she wasn't makpida exactly where. She just told him more or less, right, where to get it. So it says in the Gemara, Gita lo have adimati t'mata mechaseh. So it says Gemara, however, though the get itself is not going to be chal, because even though the guy already picked it up, the chal, the girushin is not going to be chal until he gets to Mat Mechasya, which is the name of a city. Samechei Amud Bet, right? 2 dots. He said in the Mishnah, Rabbi Elazar, he prohibits immediately that she's not allowed to eat the truma, the second that the shaliach separated. Says Gimna Pshita, obviously, Tamane Makom Ulo. We said according to Shitat Rabbi Elazar, Tamane Makom, and therefore since it's Tamane Makom, she was only just telling him where to go. but not that she's makpida to receive the get in a certain place. So says the Gemara Lotzicha, what are we talking about? Damri that she said, Zil lemizrach, Dita b'mizrach, go to the east, because he's coming to the east. The Kazal Ma'arav, the Shliach went to the west. Ma'udate, I would have thought to say, the Ma'arava later, he's not in the west at all. So if there's no problem, Kamashalan comes to teach you, it could be that he'll find the Baal, you have Lagita, and all of a sudden he'll give him the get. Meaning, it could happen that all of a sudden the husband will give him the get wherever he is. That means even though he went in the completely wrong direction, right? I'm telling you, go to the west coast, and you went to the east coast. What's going on? But it doesn't matter, because it could be that at the end of the day, you still might find the husband and you get the get. So the second the shaliach separated from the woman, that's it. She's not allowed to eat anymore the truma. Ma? There's the Gemara. Imagine somebody says to his shaliach, "Arev li b'tmarim," which means leave me some tmarim, make me an eruv of tmarim at the end of the alpayim amah. Okay, and now veirev lo bigrogerot. Right now he comes and he says he's going to be right an eruv of grogerot instead of tmarim. So imagine I come and I tell David, listen, David, I need to go to Biscayne Point. Place me an eruv right at the end of the thing, but do my eruv from dates. David didn't listen. He doesn't know how to. So what happened? Instead of doing it of dates, he does it of grogerot. Yeah, he does it of grogerot. Yeah, he does it of grogerot. So he says, or bigrogerot, right? What happens? Tani Chada, one person teaches eruvo eruv. Tani Idach eruv. So it's a machloket. Is it a good eruv or not a good eruv? He did do the eruv, but he did it with the wrong object, the wrong items. So Amar Rava says, La Kasha is not a question. Harabanan, Rabbi Lazar, it's all Rabbanan, Rabbi Lazar. What does that mean? The Rabbanan say that it's going to be pasul the eruv. They go like Chachamim, like the Tanakama. Why? At the end of the day, you didn't do the eruv properly. But according to Rabbi Lazar, it's a good eruv. So says the Gemara, Harabanan de Amrik Peida, Rabbi Lazar de Amar Mekomino. Basically, this is going to be the shita of the Rabbanan that they say that they're makpid, which means that since he was makpid, that he told them Davka Tmarim, you did it with something else. It's not a good eruv. But according to the Rabbi Lazar, it was a Mane Makom. Mane Makom just said, I told you where to put it. You think I really cared if you use dried figs or you use dates? I just wanted to make me an eruv. I want to travel. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yosef, Amar Rabbi Yosef comes and he says, Rabbanan. Also, the entire thing is Rabbanan. Kan b'shelo, ze kan b'shel chaviro. The first braita, the shliach was using the perot of the mishaleach. And therefore, even though he's using another type of thing, it's still an eruv which is kasher, because he's using the utensils of the mishaleach. Here, when it says that it's not going to be good, it's using it of chaviro, and therefore it's going to be an eruv pasul, because he's using another. How do you call this? Another thing. Amaleh Abaye. Abaye comes and he says, now remember, we just had now 3 different answers. The first answer was one's Rabbanan, one's Rabbi Lazar. Second answer, Rav Yosef, both of them are Rabbanan, but it depends whose utensils you're using. Third answer, there's not a third answer. Abaye now is going to ask on Rav Yosef, Amaleh Abaye comes and he asks, that which we learned, imagine right now he comes and he says, do an eruv for me in the migdal, right? And he did it instead of the migdal. Migdal is like a tower. Instead of doing it in a tower, he did it in the shovach, in the chicken coop, or in the chicken coop, right? And he did it in the tower. The Tanya Chada that we learned in one bright and one of them taught, eruv, it's a good eruv. Tanidach eruv eruv, it's not going to be a good eruv. Hata may shelo v'may shel chavroika. There, what does it mean shelo v'shel chavro? At the end of the day, for sure, you're not going to be makpid if you're going to. Right? That's what he says. So for why is the second one saying that it's going to be pasul? Meaning, according to Rav Yosef, that Rav Yosef comes and he says, right, that there's going to be a difference between perot shelo v'shel chavro, meaning his own utensils and his friend's utensils, and that's why it's going to be pasul or kasher. Why over here by the migdal and the shovach? Right? Why in the world are you going to say it's going to be pasul? Why? Think somebody's going to be makpid? He's not going to be makpid. So the answer is yes. Hatam nami. There are also ika pere the migdal or pere the shovach. There's fruits which are found in the migdal and fruits which are found in the shovach, which means the braitot are not talking about just placing the eruv there. We're talking about the fruits of there, the fruits of the shovach and the fruits of the migdal. We're not talking about a place. meaning not a venue, right, where it is. Okay, fine. Mishnah Sanechem Bet says the Mishnah. How man, a husband that says kitvu get to nishti, write a get and give it to my wife, to give it to the wife, or girshua, or he says, right, divorce her. Kitvu, you get it to trula, or write and you get it and give it to her. They have to write it and they have to give it. However, if he says patruha, right, exempt her, or parnesua, or give her like parnasa, like get her lost, or asula karimus, right, do like the nimusim is like the chokim, right, or asula karawi, do what's fitting. Lo maklum, he didn't say anything because his words did not mean a get. Meaning a get was write a get, divorce her, write and he get it because it's written and he get it, right, in the Torah, right. Utrula, that's a get, but just get rid of her, exempt her. Oh, that's not a get, so therefore you don't do anything. Tana Rabbanan, we learned in the Braita, shalchuha, send her off. Shivkua, leave her. Tarchua, which is in Aramaic. Harelu yichtavu. Here, yes. Why? Because in each one of these things, right, the Torah also said it. Tiruchin, igeret shivukin, that's what it's called, of shilchami beto, send her out from the house. So that means since these were languages used for Girushin, it's already enough. Meaning if a guy comes to bed and he says, I want you to divorce his wife, it's fine. I want you to send her away, same thing, because that's what's written in the Torah. So I want you to exempt her, to free her. You didn't say anything. You understand? So he comes and he says, Hareli yichtavu, write v'yitnu. You have to write it, you have to give it. Patrua, parnesua, or you didn't say anything. Tana, we learned in the Braita, says Patrua, no, if you said Patrua, it's actually going to be good. Pitruha lo maklum. But if you said Pitrua, you didn't say anything. But Patrua is also Girushin, right? But Pitrua just means Patur, like somebody that's exempt. But Patrua means to get rid of her, to divorce her, right? That is a lashon of Girushin. So you see, just like even in the Nekudot, there's going to be a difference. So Amar Rava says, this is a Binatan Bavli, Tayek, he was Medayek ben Pitrua le Patrua. He was Medayek between Pitrua and Patrua. The Tanadidan, the Baritzel, there was an Etzel, Lo Diek, was not Medayek between the two different Lishonot. Meaning that you see that there was a difference between Babel and Etzel, where they were Medayek in the Lishonot or not. So now they're going to ask the following question: Hotziuha. What happens if he says take her out? Mao, what's halacha? Or izvuha, right? Abandon her. What's halacha? Or itirua, permit her. What's halacha? Or hanichua, leave her. Mao, what's halacha? Huilula, let her help her. What's halacha? Arsula kadat. Mao, what's halacha? So we ask so many questions. Answers the Gemara. Pshot miyachada. We could actually answer one of them. That means we don't have an answer on all of them, but we could answer one of them. Asula kadat or asula kanim asula krui lo makrum. We didn't do anything. Okay, fine. Last Mishnah. But Yishonai Omrim, in the beginning, he said somebody was going out with the kolar, which means that he was being hanged or he was being killed by the malchut. The Amar, and he says, "Kipu gelishti, right to get to the wife. Yichtavu v'yitrun, right away they write and they give it. Right, chazru lomar, but then afterwards they went and they said, Afam baresh v'yotzeh b'shayera, also somebody that's going to the sea or somebody that's going to the desert, the same thing. The same lacha applies to somebody that's misukan. Why? Because in all these cases, even though he's going out to be killed, and then anyway he's going to be exempt, but he doesn't want her, whether it's to have the name of an almanah, because it's not good. There's almanah that's bad mazal. Almanah sometimes you have to do yibum. There's many different reasons. So he doesn't want it. So he just prefers that she's divorced instead of being an almanah. Okay, there's pros and cons, by the way, because an almanah could still get married to a kohen. A grusha, no. But mitzat sheni, it's like a bad luck. It's a bad omen. She's already got one strike. 3 strikes and you're out, or 2 strikes and you're out. There's a machloket over there. Like the Black Widow. What?
If she divorced, maybe the next husband said, she divorced.